Pokopia, a world that you have lived in all your life, but somehow new to you. A world once so beautiful, full of joy, and now filled with dry grass, dark clouds, and no one but yourself. Until you meet someone of your kind, a Tangrowth. You talk about the good old days, how you remember your trainer, and how the Tangrowth remembers a lot about this world, but not much at the same time. As you get chatting, something deep inside you starts burning. A desire, perhaps. A desire to reclaim this world as yours. To reclaim this lost land and rebuild it to what it once was. A desire to get back what's yours. Hello guys, my name is Vexel, and today I want to talk about Pokopia and what makes the game so good. Because we have seen the reviews and they are outstanding, they're amazing. It is the highest rated Pokemon game ever, which is absolutely insane. But now, what makes Pokopia this good? Well, I want to start off with something small. It's not anything like gameplay or mechanics or graphics, rather it's some psychology that comes into play with these type of games. Games like Pokopia make you feel important. They make you feel like you are needed and necessary, which, as we all know as humans, that is what we like. If you feel needed, you feel good. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into this because it's a little overboard for this video. The game does nothing when you're not there, and because of that, it makes you feel like you're in charge. It makes you feel like you are necessary in order for the world to advance and to become the world it once was, which is the whole point of Pokopia. Now, obviously, a big part of feeling important is also feeling like the main character. Usually, story games do make you feel that way. You're the one progressing through the story, you're the one making the choices, and that's also a big thing about Pokopia. And a lot of other games, like Minecraft, for example, also have this, is you feel like you have freedom. You feel like you're free to do whatever you want, whenever you want it. There's no pressure, no time, no nothing. You can just do whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like it. And that is something very important because it adds no stress. It makes you feel more in control of the world because everything is happening at your pace the way you want it. And these are two really big things that come into play psychology-wise that make Pokopia as great as it is that it makes you feel important, and it makes you feel like you're in control, and it makes you feel like you have complete freedom. Now, let's get rid of the psychology stuff and let's actually look at the game itself. The gameplay itself is also quite nice. The gameplay loop is as follows. You basically spawn into a dry and dead area that's left behind by the humans. Your job is to rebuild the environment so that it's livable for Pokemon. You gather materials. With those materials, you start crafting stuff. With the stuff you craft, you build more habitats so more Pokemon can spawn on your island. Once more Pokemon spawn on your island, your environment level increases. You build them nice homes, and you make sure that they live a nice and comfortable life. That's basically the gameplay loop. And to me, like I said, it's a very simple gameplay loop, but a very good one at that. Now, besides the gameplay I just described, there's actually this thing that Pokopia does to you. It's the thing that keeps you hooked. I call it the one more thing effect, or the one more effect. You're in bed, you're tired, it's about your bedtime, and you have to get ready for bed because you gotta get up for work, or you just have to go to bed, right? But actually, I just quickly want to build this one habitat. Oh, and also, I quickly want to start this build so it finishes when I wake up. Pokopia has this and somehow creates this in you to a T. The amount of times that I have seen clips of streamers accidentally streaming until like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. while they usually would stop streaming by 12 is crazy. And I have experienced it too. I remember when this game first came out, and I'm doing an internship right now. I have to get up at 7 in the morning to go to my internship and work for an entire day and then come back. But even I was up until 3 a.m. one night and I was like, what happened? And you know what happened? I wanted to log off and I was like, hey, let me build this one thing. And then when I did that, I was like, oh, this thing won't take long, because a lot of the things that you do in this game don't usually take that long. You just have a lot of them, which makes the time add up more and more. But because all of them feel so small, you keep doing more and more and more, and it just doesn't stop. And this is really what I think keeps players hooked on this game. Now, in my opinion, the biggest thing about Pokopia is the Pokemon itself. See, Pokopia makes the Pokemon feel included. Why? Well, in normal Pokemon games, Pokemon are defined by their stats and their typings. If a Pokemon has a good typing and good stats, you're gonna use it. If it doesn't, well then you usually aren't. Now, of course this is not true for just your average playthrough. I mean, I just use the Pokemon I like, but more competitively talking, the ones with the bad stats are deemed more useless. In Pokemon Pokopia though, this is not the case. Every Pokemon has their own unique ability. For example, you have litter Pokemon. Litter Pokemon are Pokemon that leave behind items for you that you can use to craft stuff. You have builder Pokemon that you need in order to build structures, to build houses, to build Pokemon centers, basically to build really anything. You need builder Pokemon. Then you also have grow Pokemon, which are usually the grass type Pokemon. These are the Pokemon that make sure that you are able to grow your crops, grow your flowers, grow your trees, and basically more nature in your environment. And then also you have burn Pokemon. Burn Pokemon are the Pokemon that melt your ores for you, like your copper, your iron, your gold, and make sure that they get turned into ingots so that you can actually use them to build stuff for your island. And this makes it feel like every Pokemon is useful, like every Pokemon has a purpose. And that, in my opinion, is really what makes this game what it is. It makes every Pokemon feel like it's useful. And not only that, there's actually no evolving in this game. If you, for example, have a Charmander and you want a Charmeleon and a Charizard, you can't just evolve your Charmander. Your Charmander is not evolving. You have to build a new habitat for Charmeleon and then a new habitat for Charizard and wait for them to spawn. This really makes this inclusivity thing a lot better, because in normal Pokemon games, people usually don't really care about the baby Pokemon. They care about what the last evolution is, because that's the one that you're going to be using the most. But in this game, it actually doesn't matter. And this really is what makes this inclusivity so good, because it really makes you feel like even the baby Pokemon are there to stay. Another thing that I think makes this inclusivity really good is that Pokemon are actually necessary for the story. You actually have to go on little side quests and help your Pokemon out with trouble they're having. That is how you progress through the game, by helping your Pokemon, by making the environment better. It just really feels like Pokemon are part of not just your team, but of your world. It makes you feel like you have to take care of them instead of train them. Now, the last thing about the Pokemon I want to quickly touch on are the personalities. Every Pokemon in this game has a different personality, which means that every Pokemon has a different dialogue. Every time you interact with a Pokemon, it feels new and it feels fresh. I haven't really encountered any dialogue with a Pokemon where I'm like, oh, this feels repetitive, unless I am intentionally repeating the same actions and talking to the same Pokemon. But because of how many Pokemon there are and how many different things there are to do, repetition is not really a thing here. And it really makes every Pokemon feel like they're special. So these are the big two things that I think make Pokopia that great, is the inclusivity of the Pokemon and how every Pokemon is unique with a different personality, a different ability, a different everything, and they all feel useful and all feel special. The goal of the game is a lot different than from regular Pokemon games. In regular Pokemon games, you choose your starter Pokemon, you go out, battle, you catch Pokemon, you battle some more, you level up, you train, you beat the gym leaders, you train some more, level up some more, and then you beat the Elite Four to eventually become the champion. In Pokopia, that's not the case. The goal of the game is to rebuild the environment. Make sure the trees are nice, make sure there's enough flowers, make sure there's enough water for the water Pokemon, make sure there's shelter for their fire-type Pokemon when it rains. The goal of the game is not to be the strongest or to be the best. It's to make your Pokemon as happy and as comfortable as they can with their lives on the island. And that is really what sets it apart from obviously normal Pokemon games, where you don't really care too much about your Pokemon and how they feel. You care more about what they do for you and how they can benefit you. Now, you're more so thinking about how you can benefit them, which I think is a great change of perspective. And it really changes the way you think about Pokemon. And I think that is a really, really great thing about this game. Now, there's one more thing that I want to touch quickly that really makes this game addictive. It's the mystery. As we all know, you get dropped into a world where all humans and all Pokemon are gone. But as you progress through the game, as you progress through the story, you get little bits and pieces of what actually happened through various different perspectives, which is the important part. See, there's human records in this game. Human records are basically notes, papers, pictures that were left behind by people, that were left behind by humans before whatever happened happened and they all disappeared. Now, I don't want to go too deep on this because I actually want to make a video where I explain the entire Pokopia lore, which is gonna take a while because I have to find all the human records and that takes a bit, but I'll get to that, don't worry. It leaves you with questions that you want the answer to. Because it keeps giving you small bits and pieces, you slowly start figuring out what actually happened, and it makes you want to keep playing because every answer ends with another question. It's not like you gain a piece of information, now you're like, oh, that makes sense. No, you get a piece of information, and you're like, oh, this adds up, but now what is this? A makes sense now, but now there's randomly a B, and I've never heard of B. What is B? How does this make sense? And it really does this until the end of the game when you've collected all the human records that you can, and it finally explains what happened and answers your questions. Now, I've talked a lot about what makes this game so great, and if I missed anything, please let me know down in the comments and let me know what you think of this game and what your favorite thing about it is. But there's definitely some complaints that I have, and it's actually just two small ones. The first one being that some of the Pokemon feel too nice. See, every Pokemon in this game is coded to be very friendly towards you, because, you know, it's a game made or targeted towards kids, and it's an animal-like crossing game. Everyone is supposed to be nice to you. But it makes certain Pokemon that usually have these tough personalities, like Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, Machamp, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur. Okay, maybe not Venusaur, but the other ones, it makes them feel like they lose that tough guy personality that they have in the other games or in the anime. For example, Charizard is known to be this, well, kind of arrogant Pokemon who doesn't really listen to Ash in the anime and kind of just does his own thing. And of course we know that Charizard can be loyal to his trainer. We mostly know him as this Pokemon that's a little more on his own. And the same goes for Pokemon like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. They're boxers, they're fighters, they're supposed to have this really tough personality. But instead you get this Animal Crossing-esque personality where it's like, I'm training, yo, and punches and kicks and and then they'll just go like, oh, you're so great, I love you, you're amazing, instead of just their regular personas. Now, I might not have used the best examples for this, but these are just the only ones that I could quickly come up with. I bet there's better examples of this, but this also does have a good side. For example, Magikarp in this game is hilarious. He talks, when you see Magikarp and you see his dialogue, you just envision him being like the chillest dude you've ever met. He's just like, yo, where am I? Yo, you're so cool, man. Like, yo, that's lit. He says yo a lot, which I find really funny. And he seems just like this white guy who's just a really chill dude. I don't know why, but it fits him so well. It really makes so much sense. So it does have a good side, but mostly I don't really like it because, like I said, the tough guy personalities lose their entire tough guy personality and they just become these hyper nice guys, and it doesn't really fit for all of them. It feels a little weird for some of them. So really what makes Pokopia as great as it is just seeing the Pokemon live on your island and seeing them do regular things like building, or just interacting with each other, playing games, doing all of that. It makes this game feel nice. And yes, even though I said that there are 2 bad things about this game, there's 100 things I can name that are good about this game. Does this game deserve the reviews it got? 100%. This might be the greatest game, and it's genuinely in contender of Game of the Year, because this game is amazing. If you haven't bought it yet, and you have a Switch 2, or you're on edge about it, I would say go for it if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, absolutely go for it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Pokopia is just a world where everything feels great. You feel in control, and you have all the creative freedom in the world. It keeps you hooked. You always want to do one more thing, and all the Pokemon just feel nice. They feel unique. They feel special. They feel useful. And that is what makes Pokopia the game it is. And with that, guys, I want to end this video. If you have any tips for me on how to improve my content, I would greatly appreciate it. I am always looking for feedback, positive or negative. Please leave it down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. You don't have to, just so you know when I upload a new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.